Welcome to the Headley Highlight Show's Headley Headspaces. And this headspace is called Paul Doyle, Liverpool Parade terrorist, in my opinion, but not charged with terrorism, has another 24 charges levelled against him. Do you think they would have levelled terrorism and murder charges if his name was Abdul? Exactly. Or he was a Muslim, or he was brown, or his name was Leroy. Yes. Let's chew over that, shall we? Woe betide his name was Ade Frimpong. And before we jump into that headspace, which is called Paul Doyle, Liverpool Parade terrorist, in my opinion, but not charged with terrorism, has another 24 charges levelled against him. Do you think they would have levelled terrorism and murder charges if his name was Abdul? Exactly. I just wanted to say that twice, actually. It's not a laughing matter, but you have to laugh sometimes, you know. You really do. Otherwise, you'll just go insane. Anyway, before I jump into my headspace, I would like to say thank you to everybody who has been supporting my channel, commentating, sharing, and especially those people who are donating. I really do appreciate your donations because they make a huge amount of difference, and it actually helps me to be motivated because it demonstrates that my work is of value to people, that they're willing to pay for it. So I think that's fabulous. So thank you so much for that. I am working on getting more subscribers because I'm at 1,854, I think it is, and I'm aiming to get to 2,000. So I need another 160 or so. So it would be so cool if you could be the 167th in that queue. Yeah, let me just jump straight into this now because I'm in that zone. Right, so let's repeat it, shall we? No, we shan't. We've done it earlier. So to provide a little context, Paul Doyle, 53, appeared at Liverpool Crown Court over a video link from prison and became tearful. Oh, boo-hoo. And he was asked to confirm his identity. He was due to enter pleas on 7 separate counts, but there were an additional 24 introduced at the indictment. Mr. Doyle injured more than 130 people when he drove his Ford Galaxy car into a crowd at Water Street in Liverpool on the evening of the 26th of May, when Liverpool were celebrating their football prowess. 5 of the victims included new charges where children aged between the ages of 6 months and 17 years old experienced injuries, life-altering injuries. And this is what he's been charged with. GBH, grievous bodily harm, with intent. Not terrorism. You drove into a marketplace and used your car as a weapon. Why are you not being charged with terrorism? Do you know why? Sounds about YT to me, people. Like I said, if the person's name was Fatima, or I don't know, Fumi, or like I said, Abdul, you know that individual would have been charged with terrorism offences. They would have had their faces on every single media outlet. They would have been Shemaima Begum'd. Do you know what I'm talking about, people? They would have been Shemaima Begum'd. The way in which she was characterised and vilified in the press, and she was never humanised. Not like Paul. Oh no. The pictures of Paul, he's smiling. Yes. In a white t-shirt. How comforting. Maybe he was wearing said garment as he mowed down potentially 130 people. Oh God. I forgot to say that one of the charges was wounding with intent. Just imagine the headlines if the driver of this car had been Muslim, you know. Don't you guys forget about, is it Menendez? That chap who basically was gunned down at a London Underground station because he had a rucksack on. But yet Mr. Doyle gets to pose in the newspapers with glasses on his head, looking smiley and normal, just like your local terrorist that may just happen to live next door to you. And let's not forget there is a charge for dangerous driving. You'd think there'd be more than that, given that, 30 people, but 130 people potentially lost the use of their knees. That's a lot of knees to crush in one day. Mr. Doyle, and still not be charged with attempted unaliving as well as a terrorist offence. And the reason I wanted to bring this to your attention is because, as you can see from the huge amounts of acerbic sarcasm, I am deeply exercised by this incident. Because when any issues occur that involve white people doing heinous and brutal acts, like this, for argument's sake, the media treat it in a very different way. And this is an example of that. How come there's nobody rioting in Liverpool about the fact that this man drove into basically a football celebration crowd and tried to, unalive several people? I mean, what is he, a Millwall fan? Does he support an opposing team? And therefore he thought, well, you know what? Your fans are having too great a day. Let me crush their ankles for the afternoon. That will make them remember the afternoon. I mean, what was the psychology here? What was the thinking? And why are the charges so minimal? I actually am not quite sure what else to say about this case other than it's deeply troubling. And the fact that it doesn't appear to have huge amounts of public conversation is also worrying. The bandwidth on this thing is like crickets, Crickets, people. So tell me, what do you think? Are you as exercised as I am the way in which the media has treated somebody who basically tried to unalive 130 people, including children and basically a young baby? Why have he not been vilified in the press? Why is his mugshot not pasted all over the place? Why has he been humanized to say, oh dear, poor him, rogue individual? Why is that? And even this article doesn't appear to show him in a particularly negative light, primarily focusing on the counts of charges that he's received. Where is the assessment of his psychological thinking? Why aren't we talking to everybody who's spoken to him in the last 53 years, from his grandmother's aunties, ancestors? What about his local school teachers? Anyone he's interacted with in the past? Previous girlfriends, wives, husbands, spouses, or acquaintances? How come none of these individuals have appeared in the newspaper when we've had something of this magnitude happen at a football parade? It's noticeably silent, wouldn't you agree? So give me your thoughts, your 2 pence, your 3 cities, or your declining dollar price as to why Paul Doyle was not charged with unaliving individuals or attempted unaliving. Why there were no riots in Liverpool, given that he tried to potentially unalive 130 people. Give me your thoughts as to whether or not, because he is a YT man, and I'm only saying that so I don't get algorithmic suppression, because he's a YT man, do you think that's why the charges are so limp, lame, and flaccid? And like I said, if his name was Osama Abdi, do you think he would have been charged with terrorism? Or, of course, if his name was Fatima, do you think he would have been charged with terrorism? Any name that denotes some kind of ethnic melanation or Muslim, or if he had a Muslim name, do you basically think it would have been a terrorism charge? And the short answer, in my opinion, is our survey said absolutely yes. Don't forget to make a donation, like, share, and comment, darling. And a donation always goes down well. Thank you so much. See you next week, and thank you for your listening ear. And cut!